Hey, hey, hey. So, I'm excited today because okay, let me get myself together. I had a great conversation last night. I'm really, really enjoying the idea of me having a podcast. So, the conversations that I'm having, of course, are inspiring the things that I want to talk about. So, today, the idea of monogamy is back on the table. So what I really, really want to do is talk about history and talk about sex, because I think those two things have a lot to do with one another, and we unfortunately do not acknowledge that fact. So in history, I think it should be noted that in general, the population on the globe, I'm talking about a global perspective, they had multiple partners. They were not monogamous at all. And I'm talking about for maybe hundreds of thousands of years, or for however long humans have existed on this globe. They were structurally not monogamous. So going way down the line, or way more current, more modern times, not necessarily modern times, let me rephrase that, about 2,000 years ago or more, give or take, when religion started to take hold of the earth, then monogamy was introduced as a concept and as a rule, as a construct. It became law. Yes, it became law. So this is a man-made law. Now, remember, the church was created by man. Church is a man-made concept. And so these crusaders during the Inquisitions were enforcing or imposing these beliefs onto the entire population in which they came in contact with. Ooh, that's bad. I'm driving. Yes, I am. And that was something that I do when I'm not recording. So I miss this turn regularly. So anyway, they began to impose their beliefs onto other people. And so evolution happens, and the government becomes a thing, church and state becomes a thing, and then here we are. We're now required to be monogamous, and we now have contractual relationships called marriages. Now, when we get into a contractual relationship called a marriage, there are binding agreements, I should say. Now, I mean, you have to think about those words. When you are married, you are bound to the person and to the state in which you are married under. You're bound. So you have to conceptualize that even further. Why would you have to be bound just to be in a relationship? Why is that necessary? In more modern terms, you think about it, and somebody talks about a relationship, they say, oh, I belong to this person. I belong to you. You belong to me. Isn't that some kind of slave mentality? Isn't that being monetized? Can we not see how huge the marriage industry is? And why we need to own each other? Do you know what it feels like to be owned by someone? To have such expectations of a person, a human being, who just simply wants to exist the way they do in nature, and I have to conform in so many ways so that I can become the person that I have to become to make you happy. Now, that's such a flawed idea. It's such a flawed idea. Why are we allowing ourselves to be shaped and molded by this idea that we have to satisfy one person's needs for the rest of our lives and be satisfied by that one person for the rest of our lives? Isn't that so restrictive to evolution? if I need something at some point that my spouse can't offer to me, that means I should be deprived no matter what that thing might be. If I can easily form a relationship with another person and be fulfilled. We're talking about spiritual concepts. We're not talking about sex, because I know that there's a constant focus on sex in this society. But really, what is it that sex even does? Okay, yeah, we know we procreate by having sex, but does it serve any other purpose besides us becoming dependent on it? It's just a feeling. I mean, yes, there are sexual energies that transfer, and we know that there are spiritual properties, but we're not using them. We're not using them properly because we just have sex all willy-nilly. We just be wanting to get it in, shawty. So we just be doing it. So it's really weird, because there's a time when you have to realize that your life is not centered around what your genitals are doing at the moment, or who you're bound by. Who you're sleeping in the bed with has absolutely nothing to do with the way that you live your life, how you position yourself, the way that you think, the way that you feel, your head and your heart. And that's my theory, is that we have, I don't have no money for this sister. Dang, I ain't got no cash for, I ain't got nothing to give her. Shoot. Okay, so there's a this idea that we are third dimensional beings, and I believe the 3 dimensions, it should be largely noted that it resides in our genital area. We're largely led by this area of our body. This is our lower chakra, sacral or root chakra, where we are largely based right now. We are largely focused on genital activity. So we completely forget that there are 2 other dimensions of our being that we're not even using. We're not even exercising them in the most healthy ways possible, meaning our minds and our hearts. We have so many things in our minds and our hearts that are overpowered by what's happening in our genitals. We have so many negative energies being brought to us by what's happening with our genitals. How many relationships do you know, or from other people or ones that you've had, where the relationship has been sexual and automatically it gets negative? Automatically it turns to a point where you can't take it no more. It's so much drama. It's all of this mess because the focus on the genital area and all the things around it. Who is that person talking to? What are they talking about? How, it's so much mental focus on the genitals that you lose the ability to even commune with yourself. You don't even know what's in your heart. You don't know how to organize your mind or to get to know yourself because you're so focused on these genital relationships. And so I feel like we're playing ourselves. We need to start learning how to, just do away with the importance of these types of relationships. If you want to have sex, then just have it. But have it in a way that it contributes to your positive energy, that it doesn't turn into a negative experience for you. If you want to have sex, then rationalize the way that you're having sex. Be okay with what you're doing to yourself and for yourself. So that way, your mind and your heart can begin to structure themselves and grow. I believe it's a simple concept. I know it's easier said than done, but take the focus into something more positive, which would be your head and your heart. And I mean, the genitals are a nice place too. Everybody knows that, but it does not have to be the end all be all of your being. It can be so much more fulfilling. It can be so much more happy. It can be so much more in tune and in alignment with who you are and what you are, which is a being of light. So be that.